Imagine waking up every single day with a secret so massive, it could literally fry every circuit in your neighborhood. Our poor heroine Wei Xiaoran just wants a normal life, but even her family photos are a literal mystery. I mean, why is her dad's face covered by a watermelon? Her mom is the definition of a helicopter parent, hovering over her to make sure her tie is perfect for the first day of the new semester. But it's not just about fashion. Mom is dead serious about the rules they set. I'm not allowed to use my superpowers. Xiaoran repeats like a mantra while her mom nearly strangles her with her own uniform. Mom, I'm about to die here, she wheezes, finally escaping the house to head to school. As soon as she hits the classroom, she's greeted by her seatmate and resident scary delinquent, Yu Tianqi. This guy has a scar over his eye and the kind of dark circles that say, I haven't slept since the Middle Ages. Yet he's busy teasing Xiaoran about how wide she can yawn. I pulled an all-nighter to finish the assignment, Tianqi brags, looking like a total mess. But wait, it's not schoolwork he was grinding on, it was a love letter. The target of his affection, the class princess, Tang Ye, who looks like she stepped out of a shampoo commercial. Tianqi is actually a big softie, blushing like a tomato when Xiaoran catches him. Help me polish this, he begs, shoving his phone into her face. Big mistake, huge. The moment the screen flashes, Xiaoran's eyes glow a terrifying neon blue. This is bad, she screams internally, and before Tianqi can react, she delivers a savage slap to the phone, sending it flying across the room. The entire class freezes as the phone slams into a locker. You fool, I can't touch cell phones. Xiaoran snaps, trying to play off her literal supernatural reaction as a weird quirk. Tianqi is losing his mind because his precious phone and that letter could have broken. The other students whisper about how the delinquent and the weirdo are at it again. I understand, you have radiophobia, Tianqi sighs, totally buying her cover story about being a Chunabiu who thinks she's allergic to electronics. He goes back to his desk, writing out the letter by hand with the intensity of a man possessed. He's copying it word for word from his phone for Master Wei Xiaoran to edit. Our girl can't help but giggle at how pathetic and adorable her best friend is being. I think you'll definitely capture that beautiful princess, she encourages him. Tianqi is already planning their future, telling Xiaoran she'll be the godmother to their kids, which earns him an immediate stop from our heroine. But tragedy is lurking in the shadows. While Tianqi is catching some Z's at his desk, a mysterious hand reaches out and snatches his phone right out of his pocket. Xiaoran is blissfully unaware, watching her friend prepare for his big moment. The bell rings, and Tianqi hypes himself up with a war cry that leaves the rest of the class looking concerned. The princess is about to return to the castle, he declares, clutching his pink envelope. He marches up to Tang Ye, tears of pure emotion streaming down his face as he confesses his feelings. Xiaoran is watching from the sidelines, thinking everything is going perfectly. That is, until she looks at the front of the room. Her face goes pale, her pupils shrinking in pure horror. There, projected on the screen for the entire school to see, is a message that feels like a death sentence. Today at 5 p.m. on the school forum, we will reveal Yu Tianqi's private videos. The princess Ye points at the screen and the classroom erupts into whispers. Tianqi's world crumbles in an instant. The teacher is frantic because the computer isn't responding to anything. The students are already gossiping, wondering what kind of private videos a delinquent like Tianqi would have. Tianqi realizes his phone is gone and begins tearing through his bag in a blind panic. Who took my phone? He roars, his eyes turning murderous as he glares at his classmates. He's ready to beat the truth out of anyone, even snapping at the teacher when he threatens to call Tianqi's parents. He kicks a desk across the room in a fit of rage, screaming that the teacher has never actually helped him. Just as things are about to get physical, our girl Xiaoran steps in, blocking his path with her arms crossed. Please stop, we are wasting time, she commands, pointing at the clock. It's almost 5 p.m., the deadline for the leak. She looks the teacher dead in the eye and promises they'll handle the phone situation themselves. She drags Tianqi out of the building, her expression grimmer than we've ever seen it. They find an old-school red telephone booth, the only piece of tech she might be able to manipulate without a total meltdown. She's desperate, trying to call Tianqi's stolen phone to stop the upload. But all she gets is a recorded message saying the number is unable to answer. Damn it, we're trying again, she growls, her finger hovering over the OK button. This is it, she's going to break her mother's #1 rule. Meanwhile, in a dark room, a mysterious hacker in a hoodie watches a timer count down, 0205. They have full access to Tianqi's files, and the access granted screen is glowing with malice. Suddenly, the hacker's computer starts acting possessed. Xiaoran's call is coming through, and she is screaming into the receiver with everything she has. Answer it already, she yells as the timer hits 0127. Tianqi watches in total shock as Xiaoran pins the phone to her ear with her foot, her eyes glowing with that eerie blue light again. I need your help at this moment, she tells the person on the other end, her voice distorted by the frequency she's generating. Why, Xiaoran, let me talk. Tianqi begs, but he freezes when he sees the sheer power radiating off her. I'm sorry, Tianqi, for hiding this for such a long time, she whispers. Then she drops the bombshell. To say the truth, I have superpowers. The phone line begins to spark and hiss with blue electricity. Tianxi can only stammer out superpowers as the phone cord begins to move on its own. Xiaoran is pushing her limits, her head throbbing from the strain. But it works. She doesn't just call the hacker, she uses the electronic signal to bridge the physical gap. In a flash of light and data, she manifests right inside the hacker's room, slamming her hand down next to the culprit. The hacker looks up in pure terror, and you won't believe who's under that hood. With only 1 minute left on the clock, Xiaoran glares at the traitor and demands, "What were you thinking?" The hunt for the truth has officially begun, and our girl is taking no prisoners. "What kind of video is shameful? It makes you like this?" Tianxi asks, watching Cheyenne's nervous breakdown on the stairs. Cheyenne finally cracks and admits the truth. He secretly recorded Tang Ye. But before our heroine can call the police, he reveals the scandalous content. He caught her playing with a cat. Tianxi literally doubles over laughing, gasping for air because her mind was clearly in the gutter. Cheyenne isn't laughing though. He knows how fast gossip spreads and how much it can destroy a person's life. He looks like he's about to cry, vowing that he won't let her go through that. Our girl sees his clenched fist and realizes he's dead serious about protecting Ye. With the timer ticking down to just over a minute, Cheyenne whispers a quick apology to Tianxi. Suddenly, Tianxi starts glowing with a strange blue energy, admitting she's been hiding a huge secret. "I actually have superpowers," she declares, her eyes flashing as she prepares to jump through the radio waves. In the blink of an eye, she teleports directly into the computer room, landing right on top of a very confused Tang Ye. The phone clatters to the floor as Tianxi screams Ye's name. Ye is totally stunned, wondering where the heck this girl just appeared from. Tianxi pins her down, demanding to know if she's the one behind the leak. "Why did you appear suddenly?" Ye screams, completely blindsided. Tianxi grabs her by the collar, showing zero mercy. She warns Ye that as long as there are radio waves nearby, she can find her anywhere. Ye looks terrified, stammering that it should be impossible. Tianxi yells for her to return the phone, but Ye tells her to hold her horses and stop judging so quickly. It turns out Ye wouldn't do something so low, especially since she's annoyed Cheyenne recorded her in secret. Meanwhile, Cheyenne sneezes somewhere, probably sensing he's being roasted. Ye lets go and points to her monitors, showing she actually hacked the phone to find the real culprit. She managed to activate the front camera and catch the person red-handed. Tianxi is shocked to see the face on the screen. It's Meng Yuan, the quiet kid from their class. With only 40 seconds left, Tianxi knows she has to move fast to settle the score. Ye frantically types away, trying to delete the video before it's too late. Meanwhile, in a bathroom stall, the creep Meng Yuan is sweating bullets as he prepares to hit send. He's bitter, wanting the whole world to know who Tianxi is in love with, but suddenly his screen goes dark. "What's up? Why did the screen turn off?" He grumbles, realizing his phone has been blocked. But he's got a backup plan and pulls out a laptop, determined to finish his dirty work. Back in the lab, the girls realize he's copying the files and panic. They can hear the video starting to play, and yet can't believe this guy is such an imbecile. Meng Yuan cackles, thinking he's won because he has the video on another device. Outside, Cheyenne is sprinting through the halls, seeing everyone glued to their phones and fearing the worst. With only 13 seconds left, he knows Tianxi's life is about to be ruined. Ye is clicking away like a madwoman, but she needs more time to bypass his security. Tianxi places a hand on her shoulder and tells her to calm down. "Don't you worry, I won't let anything happen," our girl says with a confident smirk. She tells Ye she needs her help to reach the problem directly. Ye looks up confused, asking how she could possibly help. The countdown begins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just as Meng Yuan is about to click enter, a flash of lightning fills the stall. He's laughing like a maniac, finger hovering over the key. But instead of a successful upload message, he gets a face full of sneaker. Tianxi teleports in with a massive kick, her eyes glowing with electric fury. She slams him against the wall, completely shutting down his little revenge plot. Meng Yuan groans on the floor of the men's room, crying out that it hurts. Tianxi stands over him, calling him annoying for hiding in the bathroom just to watch the chaos unfold. He's baffled, asking where she came from, but Tianxi tells him that doesn't matter. She snatches the phone right out of his reach. The creep smirks, claiming it's too late and he already sent it, but Tianxi just stares at his laptop, which is currently exploding with error messages. The screen is a mess of red X's thanks to Ye's hacking. Back at base, Ye leans back in sighs. "I almost had a heart attack." She successfully finished hacking the phone and watched the whole teleportation show through the camera. She's still having a hard time processing Tianxi's powers, but she's more focused on why Meng Yuan would do this. Tianxi looks down at him, demanding to know what his problem is. Meng Yuan goes on a pathetic rant, asking why people like Cheyenne get to have all the good moments while he suffers. He claims Cheyenne is just a troublemaker who gets money and friends effortlessly. He complains about having to work for everything while others get it for free. He screams at Tianxi, asking why some are born with everything while others have to look in the trash. Tianxi looks at him with pity, asking if that's really why he did all this. Meng Yuan is stunned into silence. "Do you think by ruining their lives, your life will improve?" she asks, standing tall as she calls out his toxic mindset. Mengyuan can't even look her in the eye. Meanwhile, Cheyenne finally catches up to the group of girls he saw earlier. He's frantic, but the girl with the green glasses just looks at him like he's crazy. She asks if he's okay, noting how nervous he looks. Cheyenne realizes they haven't seen anything and starts to calm down. The girls tell him it must have been a joke since nothing was uploaded. Relief washes over Cheyenne and he asks to borrow a phone to make a call. The girls think he's actually a pretty decent guy after all. Cheyenne gets Tianqi on the line and sighs that he's tired, but his shadow tells a different story. He claims he won't hit the guy, but his feet are already moving toward the office. Cut to the office, where Cheyenne is absolutely wrecking Meng Yuan while the teachers scream for them to stop. He growls that he wants to leave the guy in pieces like a sushi dish. Tianqi watches the carnage, sweating bullets and deciding she won't be eating sushi for a long time. Later, Cheyenne grumbles that his confession plan is totally ruined, deciding to keep his phone in a bag from now on to stay calm. Tianqi lectures him, saying it's wrong to record people without permission and that everyone deserves privacy. Cheyenne promises not to do it again, but he's dying to know how she has superpowers. Tianqi panics, remembering her mom's warning never to use them, and now two people know her secret. She tries to explain it, but she's a total mess. She's terrified her mom is going to scold her. Little does she know, Yeh is still listening in through the transmission, calling Tianqi an idiot. As Yeh watches the waves on her screen, she realizes Tianqi's power might be the key to finally discovering the truth. Our girl is just trying to survive another day of high school physics when the teacher starts lecturing about electromagnetic waves. While everyone else is taking notes, her blonde classmate, who she affectionately considers an absolute idiot, is busy reminding her that he's the only one who knows her secret. He hands her a paper, acting all cool, but she's just stressed. Then the teacher drops the bomb. It's time for a group experiment. Wei Xiaoran is already sweating bullets, but while she's worrying, her idiot friend is just wondering what they're going to have for lunch. He's sitting there looking like a main character while our girl is having a crisis. Suddenly, the popular and mysterious Tang Yeh looks over at their desk with a smile that could mean anything. The blonde guy immediately starts blushing, thinking he's finally caught her eye. But Yeh isn't looking for a date. She announces she's ditching her group to join theirs. Wei Xiaoran is vibrating with awkward energy as Yeh leans in, suggesting it'll be easier to solve the experiment together. Panicking, Wei Xiaoran literally shoves a chair toward her, screaming, "Please take a seat." The experiment is simple static electricity, and the blonde guy goes full ham, rubbing a pen in his hair like his life depends on it. He strikes a pose, shouting that he's static ready, but of course, he fails miserably. Yeh steps in with a calm smirk, explaining how an electrostatically charged object generates an electric field. She makes the paper scraps dance effortlessly, explaining the science of attraction. But then her voice drops and she looks Wei Xiaoran right in the eye. Just like I said, static electricity is temporary. She starts explaining how conductors and changing magnetic fields generate waves, and Wei Xiaoran realizes Yeh is talking about more than just a school project. Yeh leans in close, whispering that Wei Xiaoran can travel freely on those waves. Our girl is so embarrassed she practically hides behind her hands, while the blonde boy is just confused, still thinking about lunch. Wei Xiaoran tries to shut it down, insisting they shouldn't discuss her abilities because she doesn't want anyone else to know. She's terrified of radio waves and even promised her mom she wouldn't use her powers. To cheer her up, the blonde guy pulls out his phone, hoping they can at least play games together. As they walk home, Wei Xiaoran is still ranting about how she wants nothing to do with electronics. Yeh just laughs, bragging about her smart home where everything from the bathtub to the dishwasher is controlled by her phone. She shows Wei Xiaoran the device, explaining it's synced to every appliance she owns. But the moment Wei Xiaoran's hand brushes the screen, her eyes glow a dangerous neon blue. In a flash of light and a loud awe, Wei Xiaoran literally vanishes into thin. Yeh and the boy are left standing in the middle of a crosswalk, staring at the empty space where their friend just was. Yeh realizes instantly what happened. Wei Xiaoran just teleported through the phone's signal straight to her house. While the blonde guy is celebrating, thinking Wei Xiaoran left them alone for a date, Yeh is actually terrified. She has a family secret of her own that must not be discovered. Meanwhile, Wei Xiaoran wakes up on a rug in a high-tech apartment, her head throbbing. She realizes with horror that she actually traveled through the phone. But the luxury apartment is a nightmare for her. The air is thick with goom-goom sounds as her body reacts to the electromagnetic waves. Suddenly, the appliances start losing their minds. The rice cooker explodes in a shower of grains and steam. The massive speakers fall off the wall with a deafening bang. Wei Xiaoran is tossed around the room like a rag doll as the smart home turns into a demolition zone. She ends up desperately clinging to a chandelier, dangling over the wreckage of the living room. "How do I get down now?" she whimpers, terrified to touch anything else. She tries to climb down the chain, but her grip slips, and she falls to the floor with a painful thud. Lying in the dark, she hears a strange click-click sound coming from a nearby door. To her surprise, the area near that door feels peaceful. The overwhelming radio waves are gone. She reaches for the handle, but just as she's about to open it, Yeh bursts into the apartment, screaming for her to wait. Ye is out of breath and clearly shaken. She apologizes to trembling Xiaoran, admitting she lost control of the situation. Xiaoran is just confused and hurt, but Ye takes this moment to give her a serious lecture. The more you fear it, the more you will be out of control, she warns, telling Xiaoran she must overcome her fear of waves. As a mysterious shadow looms in the background of their conversation, Ye hands the phone back to Xiaoran. It always scares us, the unknown, she says with a cryptic smile. Later, Xiaoran sits at home, staring at the phone and thinking about how generous and terrifying Ye is. When her mom comes home and asks if she's okay, Xiaoran realizes she can't keep hiding. She looks at her mother, her expression determined. I have to talk to you about something, she says. Back at the ruined apartment, the broken chandelier sways as Xiaoran's voice echoes in her own mind, finally ready to admit what scares her the most. Mom is finishing up a call at the counseling center when our girl, Xiaoran, arrives looking like she just wants to hide in her hoodie. She's just a student trying to do her homework in peace. But Mom has a surprise job for her. This is our phone service. Almost nobody is calling, Mom says with a suspiciously sweet smile. She hands over the logbook, explaining that every caller needs to be registered. What? Xiaoran screams, her soul practically leaving her body. She's just here for homework, but Mom is already out the door, giving a thumbs up and telling her not to forget their talk from yesterday. You see, our poor heroine has a massive secret. She's terrified of electromagnetic waves. 10 years ago, her father used a mysterious ability and was never heard from again. Ever since then, she's avoided electronics like the plague, worried she'll lose control the moment she touches them. Mom thinks it's time for some high-stakes exposure therapy. While Xiaoran is napping at the desk, the phone starts screaming. She tries to ignore it, but Mom's voice about treating phobias echoes in her head. She reaches out, and the moment she touches the receiver, the air crackles with intense blue energy. Yes, she asks, her eyes glowing with a strange power. On the other end, a woman named Ling is sobbing. Finally, somebody picked up. Someone's been following me around. Our girl doesn't just listen, she activates. I will save her, she declares, and suddenly her body dissolves into pure radio waves. In the blink of an eye, she teleports across the city, appearing right behind the terrified woman. Xiaoran is stunned, realizing she literally fused with the signal to get there. She spots the suspect, a middle-aged man in a plaid shirt. That's the suspect, she whispers, slipping into the shadows to tail him. She follows him through a crowded market, determined to catch him in the act. When the man approaches Ling at a meat stall, Xiaoran can't stand it any longer. She lunges forward and grabs his shoulder. You got to stop following her, mister, she yells. The man is terrified, but he's got receipts. He pulls up his phone to show he was just buying meat for some stray kittens he rescued. I wasn't following that woman, he cries. Suddenly, Ling turns around, sees Xiaoran in her dark hoodie and points a finger in pure terror. Stop following me, she screams at our heroine. Xiaoran realizes she's the one looking like a creep and bolts for her life. Back at the office, Mom finds the phone off the hook and checks the files. She sighs, realizing the truth. Ling has a history of persecutory delusions. She imagines everyone is stalking her. Meanwhile, Xiaoran is at the police station, overhearing Ling report a guy in a hoodie. Xiaoran panics, realizing she's the prime suspect. She runs like the wind, but a security camera catches her mid-sprint. But wait, in a dark room elsewhere, a mysterious pink-haired hacker is watching the feed. She's intercepted the data, turning the police's footage into static to protect Xiaoran. Fortunately, she hasn't lost control this time, the hacker muses, sipping tea. She knows all about Xiaoran's father and the power she just used. Back at home, our poor girl is sobbing into her rice, convinced the cops are coming to throw her in jail any second. Kai Jia is just trying to find a moment of peace, walking home while lost in her music. She turns into a narrow alley, completely unaware that she's being followed. Suddenly, her path is blocked by a group of students who clearly aren't looking to make friends. Our poor heroine realizes too late that she's trapped. She tries to make a break for it, but these bullies are faster. A hand grabs her shoulder and the terror in her eyes says it all. Didn't I tell you not to run? One of them sneers before landing a brutal slap across her face. Her phone flies from her hand, the screen shattering as it hits the pavement. They don't stop there, raining down punches and kicks while mocking her for being a nerd. They rip through her bag, scattering her textbooks like trash. You're so alone and boring, the red-haired leader mocks. Who would ever want someone like you? Kai Jia breaks down, whispering that nobody likes her, which only fuels their cruelty. I can't stand the sight of you, the bully screams, triggered by some twisted resentment. Kai Jia's mind flashes back to a dark place, hearing voices telling her she's sick and needs a doctor. The bully grabs her chin, forcing her to look up, but Kai Jia's expression finally shifts from fear to a hollow, broken defiance. What the hell are you looking at? The bully demands, losing her temper. She throws another punch, sending Kai Jia spiraling to the ground, bleeding. Then, things take an even darker turn as the leader orders the boy with them to strip her for photos. With pleasure, he says with a disgusting smirk. Kai Jia screams for them to leave her alone, but they've already started pulling at her clothes. Luckily, our main girl and her companion are walking nearby, laughing about a show when they hear the commotion. They stop dead at the entrance of the alley, realizing something horrible is happening. "Hey, stop that right now," our girl shouts, rushing in to intervene. The red-haired bully just rolls her eyes, telling them to stay out of her way. "Doesn't matter who I am, you mustn't do things like this," our girl declares, standing her ground. The bully tries to act tough, but she quickly realizes her muscle has already been taken out by our heroine's friend. Seeing their heavy hitter beaten to a pulp, the bullies decide to retreat, but not without throwing out some pathetic threats. "Better watch your back at school," they yell while scurrying. Our girl tries to help Kai-jia up, offering to walk her home, but the trauma is too deep. "No need to worry, I can do it by myself," Kai-jia cries, pulling away and running into the shadows. The next day at school is a nightmare. Kai-jia stands before the class, looking like she hasn't slept in a week. The teacher, who is a total piece of work, starts screaming at her for her torn textbook. The book is absolutely shredded, a clear sign of the bullying she's enduring. Instead of helping, the teacher tells her to meet him in his office, while the red-haired bully watches with a satisfied smirk. In the office, the professor proves to be the most useless adult alive. "Why did you get involved with them?" he asks, blowing on his tea like he has anywhere else to be. He tells her there's not much he can do and suggests she just bear it for the sake of her future. "This is all my fault," Kai-jia asks, her voice trembling with rage and disbelief. He just tells her to concentrate on her studies and stop getting into fights. Kai-jia realizes then that she is truly alone. "Let me think about that. For my future," she whispers, tears streaming down her face. She ends up on the school rooftop, staring out at the sunset with a look of finality. Below, a woman is arguing with a security guard about flyers for a counseling center. One of the flyers catches the wind and drifts all the way up to the roof, landing right in front of Kai-jia. She picks it up, staring at the words, "We help one another to help themselves." She dials the number, and who should pick up on the other end? It's our heroine working the helpline. "I want to bid farewell to this world," Kai-jia says calmly. Our girl freezes, immediately grabbing a pen to take notes. Kai-jia begins to pour her heart out, revealing the truth that ruined her life at her old school. "My heart just beats for girls." She explains how her parents changed toward her after finding out, and how she feels completely insignificant. "Please don't think that way, it's not your fault," our girl screams into the phone. Suddenly, she recognizes the voice from the alley the day before. "Where are you?" she demands, but Kai-jia tells her not to bother looking. Our girl doesn't wait. She realizes the right conditions means Kai-jia is on the rooftop right now. She bursts through the rooftop door just as Kai-jia is sitting on the edge. "That's a dangerous place to sit, get down," she shouts. Kai-jia is stunned to see her again. "You're the girl from yesterday," she says. Our girl pleads with her, telling her that she remembers her, so she isn't insignificant. But Kai-jia is exhausted from the bullying and the jealousy. "I just want equality, that's all," she says, her voice hollow. She believes that by dying, she can make sure those who spit on her will never forget. "Everything is going to change, let's deal with this together," our girl cries out, her heart breaking. Kai-jia gives her a sad, beautiful smile. "You're really cute, but I can't do that anymore," she says. She thanks our girl for helping her twice and says her final goodbye. She lets her phone drop and leans back into the air. "Kai-jia, don't give up," our girl screams, lunging forward with everything she has. In a heart-stopping moment, she dives over the edge and catches Kai-jia's hand just as she falls. "Are you crazy?" Kai-jia screams, dangling over the drop. But our girl's eyes are glowing with a fierce determination. "I hope that you'll get through this," she roars, gripping Kai-jia's arm with a strength born of pure desperation. She isn't letting go no matter what. Our girl squeezes her eyes shut, clutching the phone and praying with everything she's got that this crazy plan actually works. In an instant, she's plummeting through a void of static and radio waves. Suddenly, wham, she spat out of thin air and into a high-tech room filled with glowing monitors. Luckily, she lands face first on a soft cushion rather than the hard floor. "A cushion, Kai-jia," she gasps, looking around wildly for the girl she was trying to save. But she's alone in the room with a very familiar, very grumpy pink-haired girl. Meanwhile, back at the school, Kai-jia has landed safely in the bushes, looking absolutely bewildered that she's still alive. Back in the tech lair, our heroine is freaking out. "How come I was the only one teleported?" she demands. "Yeah, it looks like she's about to pop a blood vessel. Have you lost your mind?" she screams, pointing an accusing finger. "How dare you do something so risky? If I hadn't rigged your phone, you'd be dead." Our girl realizes she's still holding both phones and admits she just wanted to save the other girl, even if she didn't fully understand her own powers. Yes sighs, rubbing her temples. "You're being careless, you barely understand your ability." But then our girl notices the screens. They're filled with data and live feeds of her. Are you spying on me?" she asks, her voice dropping. Yid tries to play it off, but our girl isn't having it. "You're the worst," she snaps. Yid doesn't have time for a lecture, though. She shows our heroine a live feed of an ambulance. "Look, I called 911 after you went to persuade her. She's safe." Seeing Kai-jia being wheeled away on a stretcher, our girl finally breathes a sigh of relief. Yid is cold but efficient, even hacking the police cameras to delete any footage of our girl using her powers. "I need your help with your powers," Yeh admits, a smirk playing on her lips. "If we join forces, we can do a lot." But our girl isn't a fan of stalkers. "I'm not doing it," she says firmly. "If there's no trust, it isn't going to work." 3 days later, the school director holds a massive assembly, announcing that bullying will no longer be tolerated. Kai Jia is back, appearing on crutches but looking much happier as her classmates actually treat her like a human being for once. Our girl approaches her with a huge smile. "Can I speak with you for a moment?" she asks, handing back the lost cell phone. Kai Jia looks at her like she's seeing a literal savior. "You were like an angel who saved me," she whispers. Our girl blushes, totally embarrassed. An angel, that word doesn't suit me." They finally exchange names, and for the first time, our heroine feels like she's made a real connection. However, they aren't the only ones watching. Up on a balcony, a mysterious old man in a wheelchair watches the girls with a calculating gaze. "The test was a failure," he mutters. He turns to a young man with a distinct mushroom-cut hairstyle standing behind him. "You didn't come across some ordinary human last time. Get closer to her and find out more about her, Meng Yuan." Back at home, our heroine is scrolling through her phone, thinking about how insecure digital information really is. Little does she know, Yih is in her own dark room, surrounded by floppy disks and hard drives, staring at a conspiracy board. It's covered in news clippings about Group Slow and a suspicious employee suicide. "I have to quickly get rid of the firewall you set up, Dad," Yih whispers to the shadows. The next day at school, the gossip mill is in full swing. Apparently, Yih hasn't shown up for classes at all. Our girl tries not to overthink it, but she can't help feeling a bit guilty about their fight. As she heads out, she spots a delivery boy from Hungry Rabbit struggling with a broken motorcycle. She recognizes that mushroom hair instantly. It's Meng Yuan. He's desperately trying to finish his deliveries, but his bike is dead. Our girl knows she shouldn't meddle, especially since he knows about her powers, but she can't just watch him fail. "Brother, I need help," she chirps, surprising him. She puts on his spare helmet and uses her telekinesis to help him zip through the city, delivering bags of food at lightning speed. In just 10 minutes, they finish a mountain of orders. Meng Yuan is floored. "Your superpowers are amazing," he says, offering her half the payment. She refuses, telling him to keep it for his family. He mentions he's working to help his grandpa and that the old man has a last wish. Curiosity gets the better of our girl, and she follows him to a massive, fancy estate. Inside, she spots a photo on the bar counter. It's the old man with his children, and one of them looks exactly like a younger Yis. Before she can process this, the grandpa himself rolls into the room. "Those are my children," he says softly. He's incredibly kind, explaining that Meng Yuan is like a grandson to him. He looks our girl in the eye and smiles. "It must be you who came to help me make my wish come true." "I am Wei Xiaoran. What is your wish?" she asks. The old man sighs, looking at the ceiling. "I have never had time to travel just to earn money. I want someone to help me achieve it." Our girl bites her lip. Her ability only moves inanimate objects. She can't exactly teleport an old man in a wheelchair around the globe. But then a brilliant idea hits her. She grabs Meng Yuan's phone and dials a very specific number. On the other end, a very sleepy Yih picks up. "Hello." "Yeah, it's me, Wei Xiaoran," our girl shouts. Yih nearly falls out of her chair hearing her voice. Xiaoran explains the situation, asking for the hacker's help to fulfill the old man's travel. Yih's eyes light up as she stares at her monitors. "Come to me," she smirks. "I have an idea." Yih's got a spark of genius in those eyes as she tells our girl, "Come to me, I have an idea." Xiaoran is so hyped for the plan, she practically teleports through the phone. But the landing, not so graceful, she ends up body slamming Yih right onto the floor. "Why are you on the floor?" Xiaoran asks, acting like she didn't just use her friend as a landing pad. Yih isn't just playing around though, she wants to test Xiaoran's responsiveness before she lets her head abroad. Our heroine is sweating bullets as Yih gets close. Yih even apologizes for spying on her before and offers to lend her some actual clothes, so she isn't traveling the world in a school uniform. They move on to discussing the old man's last wish. Yih agrees to help, but with a catch. "You will have to repay me with a wish too." To give Grandpa the ultimate experience, Xiaoran brings in a heavy box containing a special device. She pulls out a pair of high-tech virtual reality glasses to make everything feel real for him. Then our girl straps on a tactical helmet equipped with a panoramic camera. It's a bit of a workout since it's her dad's heavy hobby gear. Yih sets up a projector so there's a bigger picture on the screen for everyone else to follow along. Before the jump, they decide to give her power a cool name, radio hopping. Xiaoran loves the vibe. With the password radio dump set for a faster response, Grandpa gives the green light. Xiaoran activates her power, her eyes glowing with energy. "Radio dump," she shouts as the world dissolves around her. Boom, she sticks the landing right at the Lincoln Memorial in the US. She's absolutely floored that it's broad daylight there due to the time zone. Yih warns her to pay attention to her surroundings, but Xiaoran is too busy being amazed. Grandpa is watching the whole thing through his VR headset and he's having the time of his life. The world tour officially begins. Next stop, Mexico, where she explores the ancient pillars of Chichen Itza. Then she's off to Venice, Italy, the capital of water. She even makes a stop at the stunning Tours Cathedral in France. Finally, she reaches Neuschwanstein Castle in Germany. The view is so breathtaking that our poor heroine actually starts tearing up. Yih tells her there's no need to cry, but the emotions are just too high. But the vacation time is over. Grandpa smiles and says he's seen enough tourism. For now, he only wants to see one person, his daughter. We see a photo of Grandpa and his daughter Yushi back when things were simpler. Xiaoran worries if their relationship is strained. Ye is hesitant to let Xiaoran use her powers near outsiders, but our girl insists because the old man is dying. Ye sighs and activates the audio ready for the call. Xiaoran hops over to find her. This is Yushi, and she looks like she walked straight out of a high-fashion villainous manhwa. She's sipping wine and looking incredibly elegant while answering an unknown number. We get a brief flashback to Yushi crying, wishing she was just a normal person. Grandpa, who was her brother back then, offered to be her experiment to find a solution. Back in the present, Xiaoran appears right in front of her. I'm here for your father, Xiaoran explains, noting that the camera is broadcasting live for him. Xiaoran asks if she knows her father is dying, and Yushi coldly replies, I know. She claims she can't be by his side right now, which is just cold-blooded. Xiaoran pleads with her to go home, telling her how much he misses her. Grandpa is watching the whole thing, tears streaming down his face. Suddenly, Yushi pulls Xiaoran into a creepy hug. Why not talk about something more interesting, she whispers. Xiaoran feels a literal chill down her back. Yushi starts talking about the nervous system and how nerves control emotions. Then comes the bombshell, Yushi has superpowers too. She can perceive every active and dying neuron in a person's body. She tells Xiaoran she knows which nerve is so tight she can't breathe and asks, do you want to relax? It's incredibly ominous. Back at the monitors, Yis is losing it, screaming at Xiaoran to keep alert and get out of there. Xiaoran panics and pulls away, shouting that she can do it herself. Yushi just smiles, claiming she wants the world to be a better place just like Xiaoran does. Ye is fuming at the screen, calling Yushi this woman with pure hatred. She orders Xiaoran to come back immediately. Yushi calmly hands Xiaoran a business card, telling her she can ask for help at any time. Then she leans in and gives our girl a kiss on the cheek. See you soon, she says in French as Xiaoran stands there completely stunned. Yushi looks directly into the camera and says, bye, Dad. Grandpa is sobbing in his chair, the weight of the moment breaking him. In his final vision, he sees Yushi one last time. He apologizes for the irreversible damage caused by the experiments. He tells her he met a simple girl today who might interest her. With a final, peaceful smile, he says farewell to his favorite person. His hand goes limp and the line goes flat. Grandpa is gone. The blonde woman waves a chilling goodbye, her eyes gleaming with a hidden agenda. Back in the real world, our girl is reeling from the encounter, her heart hammering against her ribs as she activates her wave jump ability. In a flash of blue light, she teleports directly into Ye's room, nearly giving the poor girl a heart attack. Ye looks up from her phone, eyes wide. Why did you come back here directly? She asks before glancing at the gear. And your virtual reality equipment? Our girl just shrugs it off, panting. That doesn't matter, personal safety is more important, she exclaims. To break the tension, our heroine pulls out a gift. This is for you, she says, handing over a colorful Katrina skeleton figurine. Ye is stunned. So the Katrina you bought in Mexico was for me? How did you know I wanted a souvenir? Our girl just grins, playing it cool. Oh, I forgot, I read it in a book a while ago, she lies poorly, before explaining the beautiful meaning behind the Day of the Dead. Those who have passed away are just living differently, protecting their living relatives, she says softly, hoping to comfort her friend. I thought you'd like it. Ye's expression softens. Yeah, maybe my dad is alive in another way too, she muses. Suddenly, our girl realizes she might have stepped on a painful memory and starts panicking. I'm sorry, I didn't know that you're dad. But Ye just smiles sadly. It's okay, I never told you. She looks at the skeleton, her eyes turning sharp. Although this gift isn't bad, you can't make it up to me with only this. She leans in, a mischievous glint in her eyes. If I help you, you'll have to pay me with a favor. But before they get to business, Ye points at our girl's face. Clean the marks from her lips off your face first. Our girl freezes, realization hitting her like a truck. I have marks, she squeaks, scrubbing frantically. Ye then reaches for a chandelier, clicking a hidden mechanism that causes the wall to shift. I broke it last time, she mutters as a secret door clicks open. They step into a room frozen in time. What a weird room, our girl whispers. This is my dad's room, Ye explains, pointing to a whiteboard covered in complex code. Our girl is floored. Wow, are these your dad's notes? Is he a hacker too? Ye leads her to a corkboard pinned with news clippings and red string, a classic conspiracy map. At the center is a logo for a company called Slow, with the words Invasion Plan written over it. Isn't this the biggest company right now? Our girl asks, sweating. Ye explains the dark truth. Her dad built an AI system for them, but then he supposedly killed himself without warning. The police called him insane, and the company walked away clean. The only thing to do now is hack into the system my dad made, Ye declares, her voice trembling with resolve. She points to a photo of our heroine pinned to the board. The truth has to be there. Our girl gulps, so this is what you want. Meanwhile, the mysterious blonde woman is sipping wine, watching them through a screen. I've discovered her weakness, and the person behind her, she purrs, looking at a file on Ye. She turns to a young man named Meng Yuan, her voice dripping with malice. She could consider me her father's murderer and her enemy. She looks at a frail old man hooked up to a Roman 4 in the corner. Isn't he getting old too fast? She asks mockingly. She tosses Meng Yuan a bone, a massive bank transfer of 100,000 yuan for his grandmother's surgery. Meng Yuan takes the money back to his father at a dingy recycling station. His father is ecstatic. Did you rob a bank? He shouts. But Meng Yuan's conscience is eating him alive. He thinks of our heroine's kindness. He can't do it. He grabs his phone and calls her. Wei Xiaoran, listen carefully, he urges, his voice shaking. Your weaknesses and position are exposed. I was hired to investigate you. He drops the bombshell. That woman killed Tang Yi's father. But he's not alone. The blonde woman's voice crackles over the line. Thanks for the warning, traitor, she whispers. Her eyes glow a terrifying yellow. I didn't want to use this trick, but my abilities can also hypnotize. She forces him to become her pawn once again, her power surging through the phone line. The next day at school, the atmosphere is toxic. A shy girl named Kai Jia is at home, trembling as her phone explodes with disgusting messages. Someone leaked a private video of her online, and the harassment is relentless. Back at school, our girl arrives looking like a zombie. I'm so tired, she groans. But Ye pulls her aside, her face grim. Come quickly, there's been another incident. They find a group of boys huddled together, snickering at their phones. They're watching the video of Kai Jia making vile comments. Our girl's blood boils. How can you upload that kind of video online? She screams, snatching the phone. The boys just laugh. If you really want to see it, it's everywhere, one says smugly. Don't look at it, our girl roars, her eyes flashing with fury. Can't you see they're forcing her? She didn't want that. She's ready to throw hands, but Yih grabs her arm. Calm down and listen to me, Yih commands. They retreat to the girl's bathroom to plot. Yih has already tracked the IP address. It's from the red-haired girl's phone, she says. Using her powers, our girl teleports directly into the bully's house. The red-haired girl is lounging in a chair, laughing at the chaos she caused. What a bunch of idiots. She'll regret not having died when she jumped, she cackles. Our heroine appears behind her like a vengeful ghost. Delete the video now, she barks. The bully jumps out of her skin. Why are you inside my house? She screeches. Our girl doesn't blink, delete it, and apologize to Kai Jia. Ye's voice comes through the phone, warning her to be careful, but our girl is too far gone into hero mode. Not until she admits what she did was wrong, she declares. The bully's face contorts with rage. She winds up and delivers a brutal punch, sending our girl crashing to the floor. You show up at my house and have the audacity to give me orders. The bully sneers, standing over her. Where did you get so much confidence? The room explodes into chaos as Liu Yashu slams our girl into the floor. I warned you not to mess with me. She snarls, throwing a heavy punch that Xiaoran barely avoids. On the other end of the phone, her friend is screaming for her to run back, knowing she can't win this fight. But our girl is stubborn as a mule, refusing to leave until this bully admits what she did. Meanwhile, in a school bathroom, Kai Jia is watching the whole thing go down, realizing she has to take matters into her own hands. Back at the apartment, Liu Yashu starts playing psychological games, digging up our heroine's painful past. She calls her the murderer's daughter, mocking the fact that her father was sentenced to 15 years for a violent crime. It's a low blow even for a villainess like her. She threatens to leak Xiaoran's personal information to the entire internet, laughing as she claims the world only listens to people with big fists. She doesn't just want to win, she wants Kai Jia dead. While this drama is unfolding, we cut to a local barbecue where a group of punks is acting up. They think they're tough because they have the numbers, but a blonde guy with a nasty scar across his face isn't intimidated. He's been looking for them for a while, and he doesn't need an explanation, just a reason to crack his knuckles. Back in the apartment, our poor heroine is getting absolutely wrecked. She realizes she can't win a physical brawl, but then she spots the TV flickering in the background. This room is packed with electronics, and if she can just tap into the radio waves, she might have a chance. She tries to focus, but Liu Yashu is relentless, landing a brutal punch to her gut. Xiaoran is coughing up blood, looking completely spent as the bully grabs her by the hair. Next time, don't try to break a rock with an egg, Liu mocks, thinking the fight is over. But suddenly, our girl's eyes glow a piercing blue. She feels the connection to the frequencies around her and whispers, wave jump. In a flash of light, she teleports, appearing right on top of the bookshelf. She looks down with a smug grin, holding a vase and giving the bully a literal thumbs down. The scene shifts back to the barbecue where the blonde guy is single-handedly dismantling the gang of bullies. But someone is watching from the shadows, a masked creep with a glowing eye. He pulls out a box cutter, hissing that everything that happened to him is the blonde guy's fault. Back at the house, Xiaoran is feeling herself, declaring that every appliance in this house is now under her command. She hurls the vase at Liu Yashu, who barely dodges the flying ceramic. But the vase was just a distraction. Xiaoran uses the electricity to surge through the room, dropping a massive flat-screen TV right onto the bully's head. You lost, Liu Yashu, she says, standing over her fallen opponent. But don't count this villainess out yet. Liu Yashu is a literal kickboxing champion, and she's got a chin of granite. She kicks the TV off her like it's nothing and lunges at Xiaoran. She manages to get our girl in a lethal chokehold, cutting off her air. It's over now, she whispers, but our heroine isn't done. She reaches out, grabbing one of Liu's heavy gold trophies and slams it into the bully's face with everything she has left. The impact finally does the trick, leaving them both gasping for air on the floor. Xiaoran tries to be the bigger person, telling the bully she can still change and fix her life. Suddenly her phone rings. It's the blonde guy Tianqi. He tells her he's handled the bullies at the BBQ, but he doesn't see the masked psycho right behind him. "Today you die," the creep whispers, raising the blade. In a moment of pure desperation, someone starts pounding on Liu Yashu's door. It's Kai Jia, and she's recording everything for the internet. But inside the room, Xiaoran has already vanished. She used her powers to teleport to the barbecue, appearing out of thin air to block the stalker's blade with the gold trophy. Tianqi is stunned as his friend literally saves his life in the nick of time. Meanwhile, the pink-haired Kai Jia and the now exhausted Liu Yashu end up fleeing the scene together on a red scooter, screaming at each other the whole way. Talk about a chaotic ending. Yet can't believe her ears when our girl Xiaoran explains she's been traveling through household appliances. They're currently tearing through the streets on a motorcycle because Xiaoran needs to find a strong signal and fast. She realizes her jumping ability is tied directly to electromagnetic waves, and she's got her eyes on a drone hovering nearby. She literally stops to buy a broken drone from a kid for 500 yen just to hijack its frequency. "Stop talking nonsense and drive faster," she yells as they zoom toward the danger. Meanwhile, things have turned bloody. Tianqi is on the ground, clutching a nasty wound after getting sliced by a box cutter. The guy attacking him, Meng Yuan, looks like he's possessed, his eyes glowing a creepy yellow as he looms over his victim. Xiaoran arrives just in time to see the madness, noting that the attacker doesn't even seem fully conscious. She spots a security camera nearby and knows she can use its radio waves to get the drop on him. The villain lunges again, screaming, "Die." Our girl manages to grab a heavy gold trophy to block the strike. It's a desperate struggle, and she barely manages to kick the box cutter away before the psycho can finish the job. In the chaos, she ends up dangling from a camera high above the ground, while a crowd of bystanders just stands there filming the whole thing for social media. "How did she get up there?" they mutter, being absolutely no help at all. The villain isn't done yet. He pulls out a massive cleaver and goes for Tianqi's throat again. Xiaoran screams no and forces her powers to activate even though she's terrified. In a flash of blue light, she teleports right into the path of the blade. She uses her momentum to slam into the villain, sending him crashing to the ground and saving Tianqi at the very last second. Ye finally catches up on the bike, looking relieved. But the villain isn't finished. He grabs Xiaoran in a desperate headlock, whispering that she shouldn't have interfered. Thankfully, the sirens start wailing as the police finally arrive to haul the loser away in handcuffs. Ye grabs Xiaoran's hand, telling her they need to disappear before the news cameras start asking questions. Once they're safe in an alley, our poor heroine finally breaks down. "I'm so dumb," she sobs, feeling like her impulsive nature just makes everything worse. But Ye is a true friend. She hugs her tight and tells her the world needs dumb people like you. She notices Xiaoran's arm is badly scraped from the fight and insists they go treat the wound immediately. Later at the hospital, Kai Jia is resting in her room when Ye drops by with a basket of fruit. Ye shows her the best apology possible. She deleted the bullying video and posted a public statement taking full responsibility. Kai Jia checks her phone and is overwhelmed by the flood of supportive notifications from people telling her she's not alone. Suddenly her phone rings. It's Xiaoran. Before Kai Jia can even process the call, Xiaoran jumps right into the hospital room, startling her. Our girl is worried sick about Tianqi, who is currently in a coma with police guarding his door. Kai Jia offers to help her sneak in to see him. As they talk, Xiaoran notices a strange music app called Slow on Kai Jia's phone. Ye, who's been monitoring everything, warns them that the app is connected to a secure cloud server with a firewall she can't break. Xiaoran's intuition screams that none of this was a coincidence. She realizes she can use her powers to jump through the app signal to find out who's really behind all this madness. We cut to a luxury suite where a mysterious blonde woman is sipping wine, watching the entire hospital room through her laptop. She's got a creepy henchman and a high-tech headset sitting at her feet. She smirks at the screen, whispering Xiaoran's name with a chilling grin. Our girl stares down at the casket, her expression unreadable as she realizes she hasn't set foot in this room for a very long time. She tries to find a moment of peace with a glass of wine, but her bodyguards interrupt the silence. "Miss, we found an unusual room. I'm afraid you need to see it," they report, leading her deeper into the estate. What she finds inside is enough to make anyone's skin crawl. A secret room plastered from floor to ceiling with framed photos of her. Every stage of her life, every candid moment captured and displayed like a sick shrine. To understand how we got to this level of crazy, we have to look back at where it all began. As a child, the doctors were baffled by her, telling her mother that there was no medical precedent for her supersensory abilities. Our girl wasn't just gifted. She could hear infrasonic waves, and her brain could even process ultrasound images to see inside people's bodies. It was a sensory overload that never stopped, making it impossible for her to even sleep. The doctors suggested handing her over to scientific researchers since there was no cure. But her older brother Xiwan stepped in. "Don't worry, your big brother is here," he whispered, promising to protect her from their mother and the world. Xiwan took her away from the cold medical labs, but his version of help was its own kind of dark. He started giving her alcohol, claiming it was the only way to paralyze her perception so she could finally sleep. "Everyone treats me like a monster," she cried, but Xiwan just pulled her closer, promising to drive away anyone who wanted to hurt her. However, our girl's special eyes saw right through him. Even back then, she could sense that her brother's protection was fueled by a twisted, obsessive kind of love. When she realized he was just another predator, she stopped resisting and decided to make him pay the price. She pretended to be submissive, but in reality, she began using him as her own personal test subject. She wanted to see exactly how her powers affected the human nervous system. She discovered she could not only perceive nerves, but touch and even destroy them. She started accidentally crippling him, leaving him dependent on crutches while she smiled by his side. Eventually, she performed the ultimate surgery, cutting the nerves that allowed him to sleep. He felt amazing at first, but she knew the truth. It will accelerate aging and death from overworking. She thought coldly, wishing him good luck with his new permanent wakefulness. Years later, the two of them meet with a developer named Tang Yi, who is pitching a software called Slow. Tang Yi is a bright-eyed engineer who believes he's found a way to help the world sleep using brainwave resonance. He explains the science of delta, theta, alpha, and beta waves, hoping to secure an investment. Our girl is immediately intrigued, but not for the reasons he thinks. While her brother dismisses the project as too mysterious, she invites Tang Yi to a private dinner to discuss the software. Tang Yi tries to demo the silent infrasonic music for her, but he's shocked when she starts identifying the frequencies without even putting on the special headphones. 4-7 Hertz theta brainwaves, she says casually, leaving the engineer trembling. She finally reveals the truth. She is one of the rare people who can perceive beyond the human range. She explains that she's been unconsciously releasing ultrasound her whole life, allowing her to see the world like a living X-ray. "My hand is an ultrasonic knife," she tells him, her eyes glowing with a dangerous light. To prove her point, she releases a wave of infrasound right there in the restaurant. Suddenly, the air vibrates with a frequency that human ears can't hear, but human bodies certainly feel. Tang Yi's nose begins to bleed, and all around them, other customers start clutching their heads and vomiting in agony. It's total chaos, a localized earthquake of the nervous system. Tang Yi realizes with horror that he hasn't created a sleep aid. He's helped her perfect a weapon. Our girl leans back, looking like a true villainess, and delivers her ultimatum. "Give me the Slow administrator permissions," she demands, a chilling smile on her face as she claims she's going to save the world. Mr. Tang reaches the 35th floor, his heart racing as he steps out of the elevator. He tries to keep his cool, but the nerves are clearly getting to him as he glances back through the closing doors. He's meeting with the chillingly beautiful she, who's currently flaunting a special electronic key. "With this, I can enter the system from anywhere," she purrs, looking far too smug for someone holding a weaponized USB drive. She starts dropping some heavy-duty villain philosophy, asking him if he wants to save the world or something much darker. To her, the world is just a program, and people like offenders and murderers are bugs that need to be deleted for the system to run normally. Our poor guy is visibly sweating as she describes these errors hiding deep in society. She's obsessed with finding special brain waves to identify these obstacles, and she doesn't care who gets hurt in the process. Mr. Tang finally realizes he's in way over his head. He admits he has bipolar disorder and just wants to be a good father to his daughter. But she doesn't do empathy when he asks, "I will die in the end, right?" She just gives him a bone-chilling smile. She admits she feels a little guilty, but that's clearly not going to stop her. Fast forward to a massive traffic jam where she is sitting with her brother. He has absolutely no clue his sister is a literal monster, even calling her innocent, while she stares out the window with dead eyes. When he tries to show some brotherly affection, she snaps, "Stop trying to touch me." The traffic finally clears, revealing the gruesome reason for the delay, a body lying in a pool of blood. It's Mr. Tang. His glasses are shattered on the pavement, and his young daughter Yih is standing right there watching her world shatter. Years later, our girl Yih has grown up into a tech genius, and she's determined to find the person who killed her dad. She's working with her friend Wei Xiaoran to analyze the Slow software, and they've made a terrifying discovery. The app releases infrasonic waves that can actually interfere with a person's mental state. While Xiaoran is out, Yih stays behind, but she isn't exactly alone. Suddenly, a hand grabs her shoulder and the atmosphere turns into a straight-up horror movie. A mangled, bloody hallucination of her father appears, hissing, "You don't want to get rid of me as soon as possible." Yih is paralyzed with fear, hiding under her covers as the ghost of her trauma tells her she'll never escape this fog. She thinks back to Xiaoran's sweet words about the Day of the Dead and how spirits protect their families. But as she stares at her phone, Yih feels anything but protected, convinced she's not the reliable person her friend thinks she is. Xiaoran steps into her mother's office, only to find out that the lady of the house is buried in consultations and won't be home until late. Our girl sighs, actually feeling a bit relieved that her mom is too busy to catch the chaotic news cycle right now. She spots Ling Ling, a girl who was previously diagnosed with delusions of persecution but is now doing much better. In fact, she's even started working at the counter. Ling Ling is all smiles, raving about a new app called Slow that helps everyone sleep. She admits she doesn't even know how to download it but says everyone is listening to the soothing music her mother recommended. Xiaoran's face drops as she warns her, "Miss Ling Ling, listen to me, there is a problem with this software, stop using it." She explains that the app emits dangerous infrasonic waves that can actually cause physical damage. Ling Ling looks skeptical, asking, "So you think someone is using sound to make you lose your mind?" When Xiaoran confirms it, Ling Ling just giggles, saying it sounds exactly like her old delusions. She even offers Xiaoran a mental health form to fill out. Ling Ling explains that she used to feel unsafe everywhere, but this place has become her true safe house. Seeing she's getting nowhere, Xiaoran bolts out the door, screaming for everyone to trust her and delete that app immediately. She gets a call from our pink-haired genius, Ye, who sounds uncharacteristically shaky. Xiaoran rushes over to her place, finding Ye tucked under the covers looking like she hasn't slept in a week. Her eyes are bloodshot and she looks completely drained. Xiaoran climbs into bed to comfort her, whispering that she's here and everything will be okay. Ye tries to act tough, but it's clear she's struggling. She reveals she's been running a Trojan program to attack the slow software all day long. Unfortunately, her own father's elite firewall is blocking every single one of her attempts. "I don't need anyone to believe in me," Yes mutters, "I can do it myself." Xiaoran grabs her hands and looks her dead in the eye. "Yes, I believe in you." She promises to stay by her side and help make her wishes come true, no matter how impulsive things get. They share a sweet emotional hug, but the mood shifts instantly when Ye suddenly pins Xiaoran down to the bed. Both girls turn bright red, completely flustered by the proximity. The tension is broken by a phone notification. Tianqi has finally woken up. Just as they celebrate, Ye's computer pings with a massive breakthrough. A system vulnerability has been found. Ye immediately jumps into action, grabbing her gear and sprinting out the door while Xiaoran tries to keep up. Down in a dark parking garage, a mysterious figure is hunched over a laptop inside a car, clearly monitoring the situation. Meanwhile, Xiaoran arrives at the hospital to see a very energetic Tianqi. But wait, what in the sci-fi is this? Ye is actually there too, but she's a high-tech hologram being projected from a small device on a chair. Tianqi is just happy to see them, even if one of them is made of light. He tells them the guy who stabbed him was sent to a mental hospital, and Xiaoran apologizes for getting him involved. But when Xiaoran mentions the slow software, the room goes dead silent. Tianqi drops a total bombshell. "My parents are the bosses of Slow." Right on cue, his parents walk in. They are the picture of corporate power, but they freeze when they see the hologram. They recognize her instantly. She's the daughter of Tang Yi. As the parents get defensive, Ye's hologram begins to flicker and glitch out. Ye tells Xiaoran she didn't want to involve her because hacking her father's old company is a dirty job she has to do alone. Tianqi's dad starts losing his cool, shouting that her father's death had nothing to do with them. Back at her real desk, Ye is sweating bullets as a message flashes on her screen. "You've lost." Suddenly, her entire house goes pitch black. At the hospital, the hologram vanishes into thin air, leaving Xiaoran panicked. She realizes Ye has disconnected and something is horribly wrong. We see the cause of the blackout. A masked figure has literally cut the power lines to Ye's building. And standing behind them is our blonde villainess Miss Shi, looking absolutely devious. Miss Shi taps a command on her phone, sending out a massive infrasonic pulse. The effect is instant and terrifying. In the hospital room, Tianqi's parents start clutching their heads, screaming about human blood muffins and losing their grip on reality. The room turns into a violent madhouse as they start attacking everything in sight. Back at the darkened apartment, Ye hears the terrifying click-click of her front door being picked. A group of men in black led by Miss Shi storm the house. Ye hides in the shadows, her heart hammering against her ribs as she frantically types a text to Xiaoran, "Don't come here." Miss Shi strolls into the room, her yellow eyes glowing with malice. She knows exactly where our girl is hiding. She tells her men to cover their ear, and then slams her hand against the wall, unleashing a concentrated sonic blast that shatters the concrete like glass. Ye is exposed, and the real nightmare is just beginning. Our girl is in a total frenzy, racing through the hospital corridors as chaos erupts around her. "Sir, ma'am," the staff screams, but there's no time to explain the madness. A man in glasses frantically apologizes while our heroine pushes past, her eyes locked on her target. She barks out orders for Tianqi to catch the runaways, but the situation is spiraling fast. In the blink of an eye, a struggle breaks out in a patient's room, and someone yells in agony that their wound has been ripped open. Xiaoran doesn't hesitate, slamming her fist into the emergency call button. "I'll be back soon," she vows, clutching her mysterious pyramid necklace. Everything literally depends on her now. Nurses are left chasing shadows while our girl sprints through the halls, desperate to reach Ye. She checks her phone only to see a string of missed calls and a chilling warning message. Something is wrong, she whispers as the automated voice on the other end tells her the number is unavailable. Outside, the city is trembling. People think it's an earthquake, but the truth is much worse. The power grid is being systematically butchered. Xiaoran takes the stairs at a breakneck pace, her heart hammering against her ribs. She reaches room 2501, but the door swings open to reveal a dark, empty void. She finds a series of frantic notes left behind. Don't save me, leave it to the police. Our girl looks up and gasps. There's a massive, jagged hole blown right through the apartment wall. The notes continue, claiming it was all a joke and that this enemy has nothing to do with her. But then she reads the final instruction. The projection cube is hers and it might just save her life. Suddenly her phone blares to life. It's Ye. Yeah, where are you? She cries out, tears pricking her eyes. On the other end, we see poor Ye sitting in a plush chair, looking like a hollow doll. She claims she's in a safe place and that someone is taking care of her, but her voice is flat, almost robotic. Behind her, a woman in a houndstooth blazer looms like a predatory bird. Our girl is so relieved to hear her voice that she doesn't realize it's a trap. Wait for me, this time it's my turn to save you, she shouts into the receiver. But the villain Yushi just smirks and calls Ye stupid. Before our girl can react, the world shifts. A massive cage drops and she's suddenly trapped behind cold steel bars. Her phone signal dies instantly. It's a Faraday cage designed to kill her connection to the world. Xiaoran stares in horror as Yushi steps into view, admitting that Ye was just the bait. It's nice to meet you again, why Xiaoran, the villain purrs. She reveals her true goal was always our heroine, and she's been waiting for this moment to strike. Yushi is a total psycho, showing Xiaoran a monitor of the city falling into madness. I want you to be on my side, she says, claiming the world doesn't need the mentally handicapped and she's just cleansing it. Outside, her hypnotic waves are turning ordinary citizens into violent monsters. Cars are crashing, explosions are rocking the skyline, and the city is turning into a literal war zone. Meanwhile, Xiaoran's mother is caught in the crosshairs of a thug, but a police officer named Xiao Wu saves her just in time. It turns out he knows all about Xiaoran and her secret life. Back at the clinic, he reveals that Xiaoran is just like her father, warm-hearted and always trying to be the hero. Back in the villain's lair, Yusha decides she's done talking and begins to take Ye away. What do you want? Xiaoran screams, throwing her entire weight against the bar. She tries to use her energy to blast through, but Yusha just laughs, sealing the cage with reinforced steel plates. Our girl is plunged into total darkness, trapped in a silent tomb where no radio waves can reach her. I can't leave without radio waves, she cries, her body starting to glitch and fade away. In the darkness, a memory of her father surfaces. He was the original super electroman, a hero who taught her that being powerful meant never losing your connection. He warned her that if she ever went offline, her particles would find nowhere to go and she'd never return. We see the tragic truth. Her father disappeared trying to save someone from a building when there were no electrical waves to sustain him. He couldn't save everyone and he paid the ultimate price. Back in the present, Xiaoran's mother is opening her clinic to the public for free, refusing to abandon the people suffering from Yushi's hypnotic headaches. This worthy family spirit reaches Xiaoran even in her dark cell. A vision of her father appears, telling her she is a radio wave and she must find the connection. Believe that you can do it, he whispers. Our heroine's eyes snap open, glowing with a fierce blue light. She activates the radio frequency module in her necklace, and the device begins to scream with power. An SOS Morse code is transmitted, and she begins to phase through the very floor of her cage. Release wave energy as she bellows. A massive explosion of light shatters the capsule, triggering alarms throughout the entire facility. Yushi's eyes widen in shock as the impossible happens. Xiaoran bursts into the room where Ye is being held, a triumphant smile on her face. She gently places a pair of high-tech headphones on Ye to block out the hypnotic waves. I found out my dad died trying to save yours, she says softly, but I'm not like him. I'm going to finish this. With a look of pure determination, our girl prepares for the final showdown. Everything will end soon, she declares, her power radiating through the room. The arrogant blonde villainess can't believe her eyes, demanding to know how our girl managed to escape her clutches. But Xiaoran isn't intimidated anymore, telling her that her little tricks are now useless. Seeing that the police line has completely vanished, the villainess thinks she has the upper hand with her group of thugs. Do you think you can stop me by yourself? She sneers, flanked by her goons. Our girl just gives a cool no, as her pyramid necklace begins to glow with an intense light. She clenches her fists, declaring that she's never been alone in this fight. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Chijia is woken up by his phone going absolutely berserk with notifications. He stares at the screen in confusion, wondering what on earth is happening. He barely has time to process the messages before Tianchi bursts into the room, looking frantic. She asks if he's seen the unusual texts, and they quickly realize it's Morse code for an SOS. Chijia tries to jump out of bed to find their friends, but he groans in pain as his wounds reopen. Tianchi places a firm hand on his shoulder and tells him to leave it to her while he heals. The hospital is descending into a total nightmare as a riot breaks out, with people screaming and attacking the staff. Tianqi tries to call for help, but the emergency lines are completely jammed. Outside, the chaos is even worse, with people losing their minds and brawling in the streets. Just as things look bleak, Tianqi runs into a red-haired girl and her gang. It turns out our girl Xiaoran sent an SOS to every single person in her contacts. The red-haired girl isn't about to let her friend fight alone, cracking her knuckles and preparing to take on anyone in her way. Back at the base, the villainess tries to play the recruitment card, telling Xiaoran that they should be allies and remove the scum from the world. Our heroine isn't buying this villain monologue for a second, calling her out for being incredibly arrogant. She argues that everyone has their own will and their own way of living, and no one has the right to play God. She doesn't see scum, she just sees a group of lonely people. Disappointed by this answer, the villainess orders her brainwashed minions to attack. Xiaoran thinks fast, grabbing a fire extinguisher and spraying it right in a thug's face to create a distraction. She's a total badass, dodging a punch and putting a guy in a chokehold while looking for an opening. While Tianqi and the gang laid the police to the scene, our girl manages to snatch a stun gun from one of the thugs. Thanks for the weapon, she chirps before zapping her way through the crowd. The villainess is losing her cool, watching her plan fall apart. Xiaoran stands her ground, vowing to make the world a better place by stopping this madness. The blonde witch finally decides to get her hands dirty, unleashing a massive sound wave attack that sends ripples through the air. Xiaoran charges right through the blast, leaping into the air for a final strike. Inside the control room, Yi is working her magic, but she gasps when she sees the destruction outside. She looks down a massive hole in the floor and sees Xiaoran hanging on for dear life. Our poor heroine is battered and bleeding from her leg, but she tells herself she can't afford to make any more mistakes. She knows the villainess is trying to keep her away from the radio tower, where the signals are strongest. The villainess unleashes a final, desperate sound wave that causes the very ground to shatter. Xiaoran is hit, blood spraying from a fresh wound on her shoulder. The villainess pins her down with a boot, mocking her and explaining that without her radio connection, our girl is nothing. But she underestimated our girl's grit. Xiaoran grabs a massive rock and heaves it at her. The blonde witch shatters the rock with a scream, but it was just a distraction. Xiaoran's necklace flashes with a brilliant light. The villainess realizes too late that she's out of time. Xiaoran puts everything she has into one final opportunity. High above, the satellite dish begins to shift. Suddenly, the hypnotic machine grinds to a halt. The villainess screams in rage, realizing the signal has been cut. All across the city, the red waves of communication chaos disappear. People suddenly snap out of their trances, looking around in confusion and apologizing for their behavior. In the control room, Yi is triumphant, having successfully hacked the firewall. But the villainess appears behind her, glowing with a murderous aura and threatening to kill her. Just before she can strike, Xiaoran appears and pulls Yi into a protective embrace. Then you'll die together, the villainess shrieks, lunging at them. Our girl doesn't flinch, meeting her head-on with a powerful strike that echoes through the room. The police finally swarm the building, led by Tianqi. They find the villainess defeated and coughing up blood, her reign of terror finally over. Xiaoran gently holds Yi, telling her how glad she is that she's okay. They sit together amidst the ruins, finally able to breathe. Let's go home together, Xiaoran says with a tired but beautiful smile. As the sun begins to rise over the city, our girl looks out at the horizon. She isn't afraid of her powers or the radio waves anymore. She realizes they don't just connect devices, they connect people who were once alone. She vows to use her gifts to protect the defenseless, just like her mom and her late father. Clutching a photo of her happy family, she whispers a final message to her dad, knowing he'd be proud of the hero she's become.